108.5 Report with Atiana and Bishop. Catch us each and every Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 100.9 WXIR, where we seek to elevate the conversation on the Rochester community through constructive conversations with go-getters from around the town. How y'all feeling today?
Doing good. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. Fresh out of work. You know what I'm saying?
Story, you alright?
Yes, I'm okay. I feel pretty good today. Yes.
I feel good today as well.
Alright, so I'm very excited to be here with a group of people who, one person I've worked with for the last 4 years, 3 years, almost 4, in the Gear Up program, and some educators from Northeast and Northwest School. So I just want you guys to start by introducing yourselves. Mr. White, Brandon, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. My name is Brandon White. My MC name is Bushido Garvey. I am an educator. For like 6-7 years, taught ELA. And then for 2 or so years, led restorative practices at Northeast, Northwest. And currently I am building curriculum and content professional development for a nonprofit called Unbounded.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, that's why I've been done. That's why
That's why I wanted to bring him in, because he on his, don't worry about that. There's a reason why he here. So, my name is Mr. Thornton. I'm a substitute teacher in the city school district. I've been working in the city school district for over half a decade, I believe. And that's it.
My name is Brooke Brumfield. I'm a student at Northeast College Prep. I've been in Europe for quite a while with Ms. Larkin now.
Okay. So, I guess we'll go back and forth between Brooke and you guys and talking about the educational experiences of the Rochester City School District. Brooke, let's start off. So, you're actually graduating early, right?
Yes.
Okay, and
Congratulations. I knew you graduated early. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Early. That's what's up.
So she's originally class of 2020, but she's graduating this year. Why did you decide to graduate early?
I just thought that it would be like more beneficial for me to get out a year early, and I have a daughter, so like there's more things in life that I want to get to, and as early as possible that I can, I will.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you have a daughter. So you're a mom.
Yes.
And you're graduating high school early. I want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But all those things, they really got me to where I am today.
Okay. And if there were some things that you would change about your experience, what would they be?
Like as far as school, like
Yes.
I probably would do better. Like I would have started out better from like when I first started, because all that counts, and I didn't know that when I first started out. So I would have tried to get better grades and not skip class, stuff like that.
I think that's all of our stories, right? I know I was a skipper.
I wasn't skipping. I was skipping out there. I did skip, but I was on the side of school.
You didn't skip at all.
I did skip a few times. I was in middle school. I skipped. In middle school, I was skipping, but for the most part, I was a good student. I never had any problems or nothing like that.
Oh, I was a skipper.
I was good square with it. I didn't skip. Only seen you skip day. Wilson had them hallways locked at the time.
Well, yeah. I went to Edison, and I want to say there was the hallways were locked, but I mean, I
didn't
was
stop. Yeah, Edison was huge though.
Yeah, Edison. Yeah, you could easily find little cuts to go through in Edison.
Yeah.
At Douglas, you can't.
That's true too.
It's like always somebody at every corner.
That's right.
That's true. Nah, it's low spots on Douglas though. It's a couple low spots. I caught a couple of kids and stuff like that.
You snitching on the air.
Yeah. Early.
So now that you're almost done, Brooke, do you feel like high school prepared you for the real world?
Honestly, I don't. I don't think it prepared me for the real world at all.
What do you think what was missing?
Well, like violence and stuff. We don't talk about that a lot in school, and like stuff that actually goes on like in students' lives after school that like teachers do not talk about, and they think that it's like a bad thing to talk about, but it's not, because you could teach somebody something from talking about it, or you could help somebody, you know.
Right. So I think she's talking about kind of like the traumas and things that students face that they really don't get a chance to talk about in school. And they come to school with maybe, you know, a lot of students wear their hearts on their sleeves, and they come into school with all the things that they're going on the forefront of their mind, and like education sometimes is the last thing that they may be thinking about. So if we have people that will talk about the situations and the challenges that they are facing, maybe, you know, it could, like you said, it could be beneficial and it could help some of the students. And I know when Mr. White was at Douglas, he did some restorative justice work. And how do you think that helped a lot of students?
Oh man, I think it provided, because I think that, you know, when Brooke was talking about how there's not a space to kind of explore or respect all the things that are happening outside the classroom of the student's life, like that's a message to the students saying, like, you don't acknowledge my humanity. You don't acknowledge what's going on in my life. You're trying to tell me about this Regents, or you're trying to tell me about this math skill, or you're trying to get me to reach this ELA target. But all of this is going on, and we're pretending like it's not.
Right.
And in one way, shape, or form, I'm showing it on my sleeve, either through acting out, or through me being tired, or through me actually telling you, like, this is what's going on, and we're still only focusing on this. So I feel like with the restorative practices piece, it provided a space for them to feel like, all right, this is okay for me to process in my school space, right? This is okay, and not only okay, but I'm being given healthy ways to explore my own behavior, my own thoughts, and how I can, you know, manage them the best way I can in this environment, you know?
And Brooke, if you think back to what Mr. White just said, you think if students had the opportunity or those spaces, how do you think that would kind of change, like, the trajectory of some of the students' paths? How do you think that they may come out different?
I think that it would really help them, like, they will be able to focus more on school, and they wouldn't feel like they're going through so much alone. Like, if there was somebody that they could actually talk to, and they wouldn't have to bring it to school every day and always think about it, and they would be able to get their work done, you know?
Right, true.
And there's times that I've asked teachers, like, when we're doing work, I'll be like, how is this helping me in the real world? Like, how is this going to benefit me?
Yeah.
And some can't even answer. So
Yeah.
that's kind of sad to me, but I think that we should talk more about stuff in the real world.
I agree.
How would you deal with the student who asks you a question like, how is what you're teaching going to help me in the real world?
So what I've done is just make sure that, to the best of my ability, not to say I was ever 100%, but make sure that the content we're doing is relevant. So that way I do have an answer. You know what I'm saying? If for example, if I'm given a curriculum to teach, I have to find the relevance in it and understand it first before I can give it to students who are already inquisitive and skeptical about what we're doing in this moment, right? And so, you know, whenever I did get asked that question, and to be fair too, like, I feel like it might be a little easier with English, you know what I'm saying, than math. You know, at least with certain levels of math, it may be a little easier to articulate why it's important to read and write at, like, you know, grade level, and, you know, growing into college and career readiness, all the informational text you gotta, you know, read and stuff. So, but like, I always just made sure, like, either how the skill was relevant or the content was relevant. You know what I'm saying? So I just made sure that it was relevant, I understood it, and so that way if I did get asked, then I was able to explain it.
Right.
Are you, Mr. Thornton, are you currently, what grades are you teaching right now?
I've been teaching 7th and 8th graders for a couple of years now.
And what subject are you?
Currently I'm working with U.S. history.
Okay, so I mean, how do you make U.S. history culturally relevant when a lot of it is like, we know it could be whitewashed and...
Well, actually, a student asked me that. A few students asked me that for the past couple of weeks. How is this relevant with today? I have a lot of answers, but I can't really give it to them like that because of I don't want to go too left to the point where they might feel some kind of way about it, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right. Because I remember we were talking about slavery and when I was working in middle school, and the kids, they went crazy. Like some of the stories they were hearing, and they just couldn't like just sit and focus. And you want to have those real conversations with them, but sometimes you, like in that space, it would have just kind of, you know, elevated some of the behaviors that were already going on. And
yeah. And that was the other thing in terms of like, I'm thinking back to the classroom. I'm thinking like, when did I get asked, is this relevant or connected? And it wasn't a whole lot, only because like I had that opportunity of like making sure that the first couple weeks, we as a unit, as people in relationships, were good. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm supposed to be doing in this room. You understand what you're supposed to be doing in this room. And it's mostly about that as opposed to like really cramming in whatever this curriculum is talking about. And in some cases, especially if you're subbing, like you don't have the opportunity to like, you know, really build relationship, put your own spin on stuff, you know what I'm saying, to prepare. So, you know, like when I was full time, like there's a privilege in that where you're able to prepare better for the stuff, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
I don't know, I was gonna, well, you said that as a sub, you can't really prepare anything like that. I jumped in right in the middle of the year. I mean, teaching these classes, teacher basically moved out to the city to another state. But I usually try to tell them like little stories about certain things that could be relatable with today. You know what I mean? History plays a big part with the past and the present. You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like it's very relevant, but I kind of walk on eggshells when I try to show the relevancy. You know what I mean?
So we talked about building relationships with students. Brooke, why do you think that some teachers have better relationships with students than others?
Probably because like some teachers can actually relate to the students, like they understand what they're going through or they've been through it themselves, so like they can connect with them.
And what are some things that you guys do to build relationships with your students?
I mean, I'll invite the kids to hang out with me during lunchtime, you know what I mean, talk to them about whatever they would like to speak on. You know, have little side conversations with them, you know. I probably make my most meaningful connections when a student is not feeling too well, or you know what I mean, might be feeling some kind of way or something like that. You know what I mean? So
always feeling some kind of way.
You know.
The big homie scribe, Mr. Atkins.
Oh yeah.
Like he was you know a teacher when I was trying to become a teacher. You know what I'm saying? One of the biggest pieces of advice he gave me was, you need to make sure you're teaching from your authentic self, right? Like, so if you're doing that, a student is going to recognize that and be like, and if you're doing it in a way that kind of represents what that student's experiences and feelings are, then they'll connect that way. But even if you have no connectivity to what the students are doing or saying, and you're still being your authentic self, and you're still holding the students accountable, and you're still, you know, being their advocate and all of that, then students will still connect with you. Because I can think of at least, because I think your last episode, y'all were talking about the teachers that y'all had, and some of them, at least Bishop was saying, some of them were like teachers that, you know, would really ride for them. And it didn't sound like they were teachers that necessarily had Bishop's experience, but were still like authentic and still was willing to ride for him and be advocates, you know what I'm saying? So I just think just teaching from your authentic self and knowing your content, you know what I'm saying? And being able to answer, why is this relevant? You know what I'm saying? Why is this important for you to know?
I think about some of the better teachers for me that I've had, and like you said, they were their authentic selves. And even one teacher who may not have had the similar experiences that I had, her name was Miss Sloan, and she actually still teaches at Edison today, which is crazy because she looks exactly how she looks when I went there. She looked like she didn't age, but she was just always concerned about me. Like, she would always ask me how were things going. She would tell me to write. She gave me this journal and she would just say, Atiana, write. And I couldn't imagine her sharing some of my experiences, but the fact that she cared and she showed a genuine interest and was interested in building that relationship with me. And I don't even think I had her class all year because I went to Young Mothers and then I came back to school and my schedule was all crazy. Okay. But she was just like an amazing person. So shout out to Miss Sloan at Edison.
Yeah.
So Brooke, discuss a time when a teacher pushed you to do your best.
I would have to say it was Miss Larkins, you, because like you always like told me like you're gonna be fine. Like every time we were in the Grad program, I told you like I would talk about London, my daughter, and you could relate to like my stories too. You understood what I was like going through, and you knew what it was like to be a teen mom. So
I didn't tell her to say that, BC does. But whenever I have students who are moms, like I just instantly try to build a connection because, you know, I was a teen mother and finishing high school, it wasn't like optional. It was just like I was going to do it. It wasn't like maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. And I had a strong support network. And a lot of the students that I work with, they do not. So I try to like give them resources and places that they can go to if they don't have that strong support network to build it themselves. I tell them, if you don't have it, build it, create it. Find people in the building that are going to help you because there are people that will. So I don't know.
That was real because I feel like high school is such a navigation game. And the kids don't know that necessarily, like, but it's a game, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to know how to play the game. Like, all right, so that teacher we were talking about, okay, I know I can't trust this teacher, but is there another teacher who may have my back with this kind of content? Or is there somebody, okay, this teacher can't support me emotionally, who can I go to make sure that I'm still good as I figure out how to navigate this maze, you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be a maze, right? But it is, you know what I'm saying? And students should be able to, you know, have that awareness that it is a maze, especially in the RCSD, you know what I'm saying? So.
And a lot of students haven't been able to navigate that. As you know, when you started, your freshman class was probably much bigger than the junior classes, senior classes now. And a lot of students, you know, they're not focused or they stop coming to school. Right. But what made you keep going?
I would have to say my daughter and my family because like from where I came from, like I didn't always have a lot, so I've always wanted everything. Like my daughter always pushed me to do better, and like before I didn't have her, like before I wasn't like I didn't have a kid, it was like I didn't really have anything like to push me. So once I became a mom, like that gave me a reason to just keep going.
That's how it is though. Like when you are a kid in high school, you know what I mean, you still trying to develop yourself characteristically, you know what I mean, you're trying to find yourself or what you like to do and stuff like that, you know what I mean. I know for myself, my comprehension level was garbage, you know what I mean, when I left high school. I did not know myself like that, you know what I mean. I really didn't build upon myself until like I got to college, you know what I mean.
Right.
So like I could see, I could definitely see why you kind of went through that. You know what I mean, so
I had a high school friend that I believe got pregnant her sophomore or junior year, and the way I just saw her just G it out, I was like, yo, and I was just so. Because I was having my own struggles, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have to worry about taking care of a kid, growing and cultivating a kid, all the biological things that are going on with a person there in that process. It was just, I was just like stunned just to watch her just totally just handle classes like a boss and like get 3.0s and walk the stage at the same time as everything. So. Salute to all y'all that we're able to do it.
Yeah, I might really be the truth. I might really be the truth. because I look at Sister Shayla. You already know Sister Shayla and all that. You know what I mean?
She work it though too.
I mean, I love her, man. I love her because I like what she did with her life. You know what I mean? She had more than one kid. How many kids you got?
She got like 4 kids.
Going hard. Like I don't know how she did it.
I don't know how she did it. She just got her master's.
Yeah.
I saw her on Facebook. Like, I don't really know her, but we are connected on Facebook. So you know how
I think y'all mess with each other. She did.
Yo, she mad cool. She cool. So I just want to say like,
Shay.
yes, Sister Shay is for real though. I love all y'all, like all the women that had those adverse times and all that in the early life. You know what I mean? And they was able to take those adverse times to work on those. You know what I mean? So that's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
So what are your experiences with public education? You went to...
Me? Alright. Okay, so I kind of switched families a few times when I was younger and stuff like that. So my public education was in different schools. So when I really got settled, I was at the number 6 elementary school.
Where's number 6?
For Post Avenue, Thurston.
Oh, word.
I mean, so I went to number 6 school at the time, and I was a new kid, right? At the time, I had my family's from Jamaica, you know what I mean? So I had the patois heavy on me. I had that on me, and I lost it because of these kids, you know what I mean? They were getting on me about how I sounded and all that and stuff like that, so I lost all of that, you know what I mean?
And that was cool to have.
Yeah,
right.
So I used to speak patois heavily, you know what I mean? I remember all that stuff, but it was kind of rough. It was kind of rough because kids would try to, like, you know, bully you and all this other stuff like that, pick on you, etc. You know what I mean? But the crazy thing, okay, I'm gonna give you a story. When I was in middle school, I was getting picked on crazy, right? But when I got in this fight, everybody started slapping me up, showing me love. Everybody fell back. Everybody fell back. When I got in the fight, whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever happened. You know what I mean? People just started to fall back and show love. But the crazy thing is, it seems that these kids are testing themselves to see, to learn more about themselves. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So they're saying all kinds of wild stuff. They're doing all kinds of wild stuff. You know what I mean? And over time, they'll learn more about themselves and learn more about each other. You know what I mean? I don't know if it comes out good or bad. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's what I get, and that's part of my experience. You know what I mean?
What did you graduate from?
I would so I went to 6th school, then I went to I went to Charlotte when it was in middle school.
I remember.
You know what I mean? And then I went to East High. I graduated from East High School.
Okay.
So East Side was kind of cool though.
What Wilson with a song?
Yeah, Wilson Wild Pearls, get him out of here. Wilson Wild Pearls is garbage.
You a bugging, son.
I'm sorry.
You're not supposed to smoke. You're not supposed to smoke drugs, man. You a teacher, son. Come on, son. What's it called? 12 school, Monroe, Wilson. I would say, like, overall, and I've said this before, like, I feel like my education experience in RCSD was like a privileged one, because each school I went to at that time, it was like one of the better schools at the time. Like the 12 school was like, you know, a better elementary school at the time. Monroe was like not perfect at all, but like in comparison with like what was going on with the other middle schools, like it was one of the better middle schools. And then Wilson was one of the better high schools at the time. And but through that, like, cause there were also places, especially like particularly like 12 school and Monroe, like they were really diverse.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I got to interact with a lot of different types of people and students. I just got to learn, like, you know, just like how Rochester was, just like overall, cause like I feel like our experiences can be so segregated. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I feel like I got to understand, like, okay, this is how. You know, like upper middle class white people function in school and their families. This is how lower income white folk function. This is how Hispanic brothers and sisters function. This is how, you know, African American brothers and sisters function, especially with Monroe and 12. And then, you know, Wilson as well. But like, it's still, I just got to see, I feel like I got to see an even cross section of like what Rochester is like, you know what I'm saying? And I got to see it for its it's for its best and for its worst, you know, through the public education system.
And what made you both decide to go into education? Because because when my situation, okay, I worked for Wegmans for 15 years and I didn't love it anymore. So then I decided I love the work that I did with the Hillside students. So then I started subbing. But subbing made me realize that I didn't want to teach. But I still wanted to work with students and not outside of the district. So eventually I want to be in the district.
I saw in high school, I saw how my hip hop culture was just as complex, if not more complex, than the content I was getting in high school. But like, I wasn't getting none of that in high school. And I know that if I was given some of it, and other classmates I had, or other student mates that I had were getting some of that, then English would not be so disconnected from their own range of thinking, because it's very connected in our cult. I saw like there was a separation between the intellectual behavior of like our culture and the intellectual behavior of school. Both are the same in terms of like high level, but school totally disconnects itself from the intellectual culture of our community. That's a problem. And I saw that, you know, so I was like, is there a way I can connect that? You know what I'm saying? And that's a major part of why. And then I saw how illiteracy was used to keep us enslaved historically. So I was like, oh, so there's the solution. You know, there's a solution part of me, but so that was a large part of my why.
All right, so when I went to college and I majored in music business, I wasn't planning on becoming an educator whatsoever. I get out of school and I guess I was trying to find a job, man. I'm gonna keep it real. I tried to find a job. My friend was already working in the district at the time, and he put me onto it. So I was like,
"Is Monster?"
Monster.
Okay.
I mean, and he put me
Shout out to
onto Monster. But he put me onto it, and then once I applied and got into the district, right, and I started working, I actually kind of loved it. You know what I mean? I was really helping kids, like getting work done, etc. You know what I mean? Putting me working directly with kids when I got into the district put a fire under my seat to make me want to continue a career in education.
Yeah, I definitely, after working with the Hillside students, like I was like real passionate about helping youth and to find what they're good at, what they want to do out of life, and just to tell them like you're going to have challenges in life, like it's unavoidable. Like every day you're going to be faced with something new. Some things are smaller, some things are bigger, but just to be an encouragement to them so that they could overcome those challenges.
Yeah, I actually seen one of my kids that I've known since elementary school finally graduate last year.
That's what's
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm extra old out here.
Right. I feel you on that.
The thing is, I'm gonna take the time out to actually link up with him and hang out with him and see what's going on with like his start of his real life, adult life. You know what I mean? Outside of school. You know what I mean? See what's going on with him, because I feel like you know what I mean, when it's scary to be an adult and to start a real life outside of your career as a student. You know what I mean?
Brooke, you looking forward to adult life? And
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I am. I feel like I've because I had to start early, basically, like having a daughter at a young age, so I kind of know a few things, you know. So it's like I like it, but I wish that I could have like got to I wish that I was able to experience like the things that my friends were and stuff like that, but I had to like grow up and figure things out, you know, because of my daughter.
Right, but like you said, that pushed you to where you are today.
Right.
Where you got people who haven't even had that experience, like,
Right.
and they dropped off the map. What are some things that you're passionate about? Like, what do you want to do next? What's next for Brooke?
I actually want to go to college and I want to be a nurse. I'm starting in the fall in the nursing program and I'm excited.
Okay. And why nursing?
Well, actually, my whole life I just wanted to be a doctor, but I don't want to stay in school for that long.
I hear you.
And I
I'm
feel
a teacher, and I hear
yeah,
you. Shoot.
it'll take like some of the weight off. You know, I won't have to go for so many years, and I just want to like help people.
Yeah.
So I felt like nursing would give me that advantage.
And you never know, like when I went to school, I started off with my bachelor's and I just wanted to do that.
Right.
Like I didn't want to do anything else. And then my mom was like, go on and get that master's degree. And so I was like, well, it's only a couple more years. I'm just finished this, I might as well do it.
Right.
And then when I was done with that, like I was like, I'm over school and now I'm back taking more classes.
You getting your doctorate?
Right. No, I told you that. Remember I told you the educational leadership program?
Oh, that's right.
Tanisha's?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so I
Right.
started that, and yeah, I'm just finishing up the classes this summer, and then my internship starts this fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and like it's been the hardest thing that I've ever had to do because my background isn't in education, so it's a lot of language that trips me up, and I have to look up. But I lean on a lot of people.
Right.
Ask them like, what does this mean and what is that? But,
Yeah, she definitely be good to link with Shay.
Oh yeah, Shay. Yeah, rock out with Shay. Yeah, Shay go crazy.
She got all like her undergrad and graduate degree that she just got was all in education, and y'all have a very similar mode of operation and thinking. Like,
is she still at Is she still at the school?
she's subbing all over the
Yeah,
place.
she's
right?
subbing all over the place.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly where though.
Yeah, but I got her on Facebook. I'll reach out to her.
Because that's the other thing. Like we got to look out for each other more frequently as folk of color in education or serving kids. Like too often we kind of separated. We all want the same things for our kids, and we all get tested by the system. You know what I'm saying? But to not give our best or to even stick around, right? But if we have like that support of each other, you know what I'm saying, to help our kids, then we'll be that much stronger. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely important for all of us to link as much as possible.
Oh, for sure. Because I know, like, without some of the, like, I talked to Natalie Shepard. She was one of the people who's been helping me, just having conversations with me. Shari Evans, she helped me with the paper.
Peace to Sister Shari.
She's doing her thing now.
Is she related to Millie Evans?
Yes, that's my sister.
Good people.
Yeah,
Good people.
They've definitely been helping out.
Father passed away recently. Rest in peace.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Peace,
I
biology cat.
actually, yes, I went to his camp, the institute. So when I was
word.
Yeah, how was that? How was that though, bro? How was that?
That's small world, yo.
we used
That's
to do a
crazy.
lot of things around the city, like a lot of walking and getting out. We did it for a couple of summers, and then we used to be downtown selling the
Newspapers.
the
We were
newspapers.
just talking about that. Because we ran into Zeke on the way over here. Zeke is like he's a mainstay duology interfaith institute.
Okay.
You was really doing the duology joint though?
Well,
It was a camp.
Yeah, it was a camp.
Wow, that's crazy.
I was much younger. I can't remember, but I just remember a lot of being out in the community and.
They was going hard, like, yeah. They was going extra hard. Yeah, they was downtown. Like,
I
I say something about that.
We was really just talking about this on the way over here. Small world. But yeah, that's, Minister Evans, rest in peace, was an extremely important education activist. And gave a good example of us looking out for each other, you know what I'm saying? Without necessarily needing the system to do it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
So how do we use that activism spirit to help what's going on in the district, to help our students who are making the mark?
They gotta practice it, man. Like, okay, so, we've been reading a whole bunch of reports for the past couple months. Reading a whole bunch of.
Are you talking about the reports from, I think it was one from a distinguished educator, Jamie Aquino or
Jamie
something?
Aquino, and who's the woman's name? I forget the
Commissioner Aaliyah.
Elias or something like that. I
Yeah.
forget. I'm sorry. I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't. I know it's Jamie Aquino was the main guy who presented the report.
Yeah.
Was that
I
what
don't
you
know
referred
what
to?
you talking about, geez, but I mean, but
That's the report the state gave on the RCSD.
oh no, not that, no. I'm talking about activism of the students across the United States.
Oh yeah, we have been
you know
doing
what I'm
it
talking
for
about.
scholars. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So recently, students been protesting against climate change. They also were protesting
Gun
against
control.
gun control,
Yeah.
things, and many things that might affect the community.
There was a recent walkout actually that students did when a
Yeah.
student showed up with blackface on. This is like recent news. Like a
Oh,
student showed
I
up with
heard
some blackface.
Mhm.
Students left and said, "Y'all need to take care of this."
Yeah, that's what,
So to your point though,
yeah, so what I'm saying is that these kids got basically probably form some type of group, learn about how to be activists or whatever, or learn the subject that they are interested in and start using it. You know what I mean? Because
You saying students should rise up?
yeah, straight
Yeah.
up. So because it seems like this is the era where a lot of students are actually taking it upon themselves to like speak out and stand up for something. You know what I mean? Like
Let it be this. I agree.
I mean, so I feel like they just need to put something into practice, right? Whether it's like, you don't have to walk out or anything. You know what I mean? Whether it could be in any form, you know what I mean? It could be maybe a letter as a student body to administrator or something like that.
Official,
Yeah, elected official or something like that, or you know what I mean? It could be local, it could be national, whatever it is. I feel like students just have to get together and do more of this. I mean, especially here in Iraq.
To add to Rob's point, I think students, parents, and teachers, and just educators of all types, teachers, administrators, whatever have you, they need to start using the system instead of the system using them.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, all of us are in a situation where the system is using us. Like we're over dependent upon that system, and then we're feeding that $1 billion engine that y'all was talking about last week, right? But other communities, they don't do that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like when I was at 12 school and even to a certain extent in Monroe, like I saw middle class, upper middle class white parents use the school system, not have the school system use them. You know what I'm saying? Like they knew the ins and outs, they knew what shouldn't be going down, and if there were things that they didn't like, they themselves, separate from the system, would provide whatever academic needs their kids needed. You know what I'm saying? But they needed a connection outside the system. A lot of us, teachers, students, parents, like the only connection we have is within the system. You know what I'm saying? Like the main reason, like I know a lot of educators of color is because of this system, but the system does not promote us to really be linking together, to really be doing what's best for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of educators of color, like all educators, I want to do what's best. You know what I'm saying? I only run into them by accident. You know what I'm saying? That's not what the system intends, right? So there has to be a step out of it and be like, you know what? Like, we're all in this, but let's gather together, not because of this, but because we want what's best for our kids. How do we make sure that we organize in a way that will enhance, what's offered within this system, instead of the system kind of just using us to do whatever it's encouraging us to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's just some of my thinking, but that's an important question we all got to be answering though.
Right. Have you guys been following like what's in the media about our school board?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah. Just a little bit. I haven't been on the TikTok though.
So I didn't watch the video because sometimes like certain things that get into my mind, I just try not to. Like I just try not to let certain things get into my mind.
Yeah.
But I just want to know like what should we do about our school board? Like what needs to be done to get them at a place where they're doing what's in the best interest for our students.
Alright, so I didn't know they had meetings every day. You feel me?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
one
so
thing I
they
didn't
have
know.
these
You feel me?
Yeah.
But alright, so I'm just gonna say this. So I remember watching on the news where I think I was at a Jamaican restaurant or something like that, and I hit you up or something. And I remember Miss Lovely Warren had came out with a city address or something like that.
Mhm.
And then right after that, you know what I mean? Right after that, they had something on the screen where they were talking about where a school board member was talking to a person that was in the meeting,
Mhm.
right? Or is it a school board member? What was it?
Yeah, the school board member
You know
was
what I'm
talking.
talking
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
Yep,
So
school member was talking to somebody who was an activist who was in the meeting. Is that what you're referring to? Or?
Yep, exactly.
Mhm.
So basically, they were arguing about something. You know what I mean? About maybe a process that was supposed to happen or something like that. I'm not sure. So what I'm trying to get to is that there's not enough people going to these meetings at all. Right? First and foremost, there's not enough people going to the meetings. There's not a lot of people going to the meetings. You only have a small number of people, and you only have, and those small number of people probably been going to those meetings for like a decade or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I guarantee you, if you go there now and look at the number of people that's in there, the type of people that's in there, I guarantee you, those that are in there are not newcomers at all whatsoever. You know what I mean? They've been in there for a minute. So I feel like people just have to get more engaged. Be more part of the system, you know what I mean? Learn more about the school board. Like, first of all, you gotta get the calendar and know who's on the school board. You gotta know their jobs. You gotta know all of that stuff like that. You gotta figure all that stuff out, and then you gotta get into the meetings, see how the meetings go, etc., and then take it from there. You know what I mean? I don't think there's not enough people even trying to be a part of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, more involvement.
Yeah.
I think we sound like Sister Shepherd, like, oh, we about to talk today. You know, like you asking some really serious questions. About to get me started, but I think that everybody who's in education, everybody that's in education needs to be thinking like an educator.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, to your point, Rob, like if because you brought up how like not a lot of people attend. A lot of people don't attend, I believe, because they don't make the information accessible. It's like board resolution 3.2, thou shalt not blah blah blah. Like it's really political, bureaucratic, but it's important language, important decisions that are being made, but it's not being accessible for the common person. I'm not saying you should dilute it or change, but like make it accessible. The same way I'm charged with making a curriculum accessible, not watering it down, but like making it accessible. Like that's what the board should be doing to make it so everybody can really feel like it's worth engaging in. You know what I'm saying? And to the point of like all this crazy media stuff, like I think that one, we're imperfect people that are trying to fix a system that's perfectly broken. So with that being said, that shouldn't provide excuses for certain behaviors, but like, you know, like one thing I liked about when Sister Shepherd was up here, she was, you know, she just came in and she didn't necessarily throw stones at nobody, because now she knows like how hard it can be to be at that seat and try to make change, right? And she understands that, it seems like, right? So when I see the news of like, you know, like especially with that particular situation with the board member and the activist, like I don't condone it. But I also don't think it should be used as an excuse to get rid of a democratically elected board. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of like mayoral control, like I understand the desire to try to figure out something new, because it has been, to quote Mayor Lovely Warren, like this hasn't been working. To a certain extent, it hasn't. There has been like, you know, progress, like the graduation rate has gone up a decent amount, but there are similar dysfunctions that keep on recurring over and over again, and other problems that exist. So I can sympathize with that, and that still needs to be addressed. But to kind of get rid of I just feel like that's a loss of faith in the democratic process that people should have with their education. You know what I'm saying? And like it's hard enough to run the city alone. You know what I'm saying? So trying to add on this other piece, I have a hard time in visualizing how that would go down. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. I saw this article, and it might be kind of what you're talking about, that came out last week, about the state drafting a RCSD takeover and replacing the board for at least the next 5 years. And I don't know, when I think about it, like if these people if they know what's best for our students, why does it need to be a takeover? Why couldn't it be a situation where they work together? So.
Because I think it's a situation where everybody's blaming the person below them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, teachers are blaming students in the hierarchy, right? In the way that they've arranged things. Teachers are blaming students and parents. Administrators are blaming, you know what I'm saying? But they're being blamed by administrators, and administrators are being blamed by zone chiefs, and the zone chiefs are being blamed by board members, and then the board report. A lot of that stuff the board had been trying to do, you know what I'm saying? But like the state hasn't always made it easy for them to do. You feel me? So for the state to be like, it's almost like, let's say that, this is probably a bad example, but like if there's a grandparent that tells they kid, you need to stop mistreating your kids when they mistreated that kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's backwards, you know what I'm saying? Like, you talking about, you mistreated me all the time growing up. They gonna try to tell me how to raise my kids? Like, so I think that's what the state is doing, you know what I'm saying? The state is acting like they just got it all under control, but really, they just been just as messy, if not more, and you made it harder for the board to do what they gotta do, you know what I'm saying, overall, so.
I feel you on that, man. That sounds, yeah, it's funny because you say people blaming other people and stuff like that. I remember there was a meeting this past year at Douglas High School where they were talking about the no suspension thing,
the code of conduct,
and the code of conduct. These dudes was, I never seen any meeting go like this ever in my career as a substitute teacher. You know what I mean, in the district. These dudes were upset at the chief. Oh man, oh my god, I don't know her name. She works in central office, but
I know who you're talking about. It was and I love her too. She's dope. But she used to be the principal of School Without Walls. Mm-hmm. What's her name?
I don't know her name, man.
I can't believe it. I just totally blanked out. Sorry. I love her.
That's okay. They basically were blaming her about the no suspension thing when she was there to try to deliver the information and all that. You know what I mean? So
right, the information didn't come from her. She was just the messenger.
Right. So there's the underlying thing with that. Like you can't get lost in the sauce, man. You gotta really study the system. You gotta figure out how it's being run. You know what I mean? You gotta look at the state level. Who's holding all the positions and all their job titles and what the job descriptions are, and then work from there. You know what I mean? Like you can't just blindly blame somebody because somebody just presented some information or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Which brings up, we have a new superintendent, Mr. Terry Dade.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him other than what's been presented in the articles about him. But what do you think our district needs in a superintendent?
Someone that's consistent, first and foremost, because how many superintendents did we go through in the course of 5 years or something like that?
Yeah. Like,
probably over 3, 4, I don't know.
Too much. Too many people, too much.
Consistency, people that care. We need superintendents that do care about the school system. We need superintendents that do care about the schools themselves. And we need superintendents that do care about the staff that's under them.
Yeah. We need Idonia Owens, that's her name.
Oh,
yeah. Shout outs to Dr. Owens. I like how Sister Shepherd broke down why it wasn't somebody local in the last show.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people had a conversation about why it wasn't someone else. Yeah,
and we've had local folks or quasi-local folks with mixed results, you know what I'm saying? So I can kind of get where she's coming from with that, even though that'd be my preference too. I think somebody who's not using this as a stepping stone to another career. You know what I'm saying? To a bigger district. Because I feel like we've dealt with that too.
Bizarre. That's the most
we found out. Yeah, we found out in Chicago.
Right.
Do you remember Brooke? Do you remember Jean-Claude Brizard? Is that his name?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Was it a student?
It was the superintendent. Yeah, no. This is like the boss of bosses in all the school networks in Rochester. But yeah, he was a superintendent, and we found out that he applied to be a superintendent somewhere else through that other place. Like we had to read Chicago's newspaper to find out he was trying to dip, Rochester. So yeah. So, but yeah, because how old are you? You're 17. That was,
Okay, man.
yeah, you were like an elementary, man, we're old, son.
I know. So
Man, old. You were like 7 when that happened. That's crazy. You're like,
That's why I'm looking like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So there's been a lot, but like to folks' point,
I mean, I bet I could ask. I guarantee you can ask 10 teachers in the district, right? And they will not know the last 3 superintendents that work. I guarantee you these are facts right here. So that's what I'm talking about,
Myself
consistency.
included.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, consistency. These dudes don't, it's like a stepping stone or something like that. They're just trying to get this real quick and then get up out of here or something. I don't know, man.
It's also a madhouse though too. You know what I'm saying? Like so, like there's probably folk that like bounce because they stepping stone, and there's also folks just like, yo, this cats is out of control,
Yeah.
or it's hard, or it's a hard system to try to make change in. So then I'm out. You know, but I don't know though.
I don't know. It could also be that these people that stumbled upon this position, been working in the district or in districts for a long period of time, and they probably already are set in their ways, and they probably don't even really want to be a part of it. I would say.
Brooke, do you pay attention like at that level of who's running the school district, or does that interest you, or
Like, I pay attention to like the principals and the teachers that come and go.
right?
Yeah, and that's what
And like the administrators also, so, cause
Yeah.
they like leave a big impact, you know.
or that right there is all the more reason I felt there should be a class on local education for high school students or even middle school students. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't get the opportunity to understand what you're being subjected to. That's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Like you should know, like in Douglas alone, right? In the time you were there, how frequently did you see teachers just swap around all the time?
Right.
Be here one year and be there out the other.
A
You
lot.
probably had at least 4 principals alone. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right.
Like you deserve to know why that's the case.
Why they
You know what I'm
came.
saying? Like what's going on in your education system that won't give you consistency.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
And it also makes it
Harder because you get
Mhm.
used to the teachers and
Mhm.
the principals, and you tell them everything, and when they just leave, it's like you got to start all over now.
right?
yeah.
With somebody who has to get to know you,
Right.
right? And I think about my time spent at Wegmans. I compare everything to Wegmans because it's just where I spent most of my time working.
Yeah.
And Danny, he came to every store, like legit.
Woo.
He came to every store around Christmas time. They visited every.
Is he still alive though?
Yes. Yes.
I didn't know he was alive. I didn't know he was alive though. I thought he was gone.
No, he's not.
Robert passed away, right?
Yeah, the dad passed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But,
okay.
I think the daughters are running things now.
Right,
And
right.
Danny just, chilling. But he came to every store. He shook hands. He hugged people.
Yo.
He actually knew me by name when he came to my lateral store. Now, that probably was hooked up behind the scenes, but it made me feel
Definitely,
good.
yeah,
Right? It made me
definitely.
feel good. So why can't we have a superintendent that visited schools, that students actually knew who they are,
Right.
that students got to have conversations with them, focus groups, what students need, what parents need. I know for this round of selection that they had some focus groups, but I don't know if that information was really put out to the public, because a lot of people that I knew, or a lot of parents that I know, I don't know if they knew that these things were happening.
I think the district and central office has a hard time, because I've seen efforts, you know what I'm saying? But like, I think they have a hard time, and understandably so, like really connecting with the folk, like the people, you know what I'm saying? Like for whatever reason. I do agree, like superintendents, like there needs to be high visibility and interaction with the community, you know what I'm saying? Within the schools system and outside, you know what I'm saying? Like the homie Joe Roebuck.
Okay,
Whenever you listen to Joe Roebuck,
Joe
even if you don't agree with his politics, this man is at every festival, every barbecue, you know what I'm saying? Always up at DKX, you know what I'm saying? Like he's highly visible. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah,
I think that'd be important for superintendents too.
He was a keynote speaker at my undergraduate ceremony.
Oh, word?
Yeah, he's good people.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I met him actually at Freedom School one day. He was
Yeah, he was there too.
read aloud guest and something like that. This dude was funny. I didn't want to say anything on the air, but he's telling some crazy stuff.
Yeah, he's a real
Telling me some
person.
wow stuff.
Alright, so to wrap up, and I definitely didn't say we were on 100.9 WXIR the 4 times that I needed to say it during this conversation.
Look,
You didn't say it one
we
time.
can
You
all,
didn't say it one
we
time.
can all say it once. You just said it once. I'll say
But
it
you
once.
are tuned into 100.9 WXIR,
That's
the
twice.
585 report with Atiana Bishop. Bishop is out grinding, working. He couldn't be here, but most likely he'll be here next week.
I wanted to meet you, Bishop. I wanted to put pressure on you because you don't be talking enough, homie. My fault. I just want to say something.
I just talk too much, basically. But what are some things that our district can be proud of? I know we talked a lot about what's not working, but I mean, there are some things that are working.
All right, so the district is now being more culturally sensitive. I mean, with the restorative practice. You know what I mean? Like, I know when I was growing up in the city school district, there was nothing like that. There was nothing like that. You had to deal with the problems yourself. Like, you had the chance to sit down and, like, if you had beef with somebody, you had to just handle it yourself, and you had your own tribunal pop off. You know what I mean?
Word. You're right though. There was nothing like that at all. Except for like maybe peer mediation, but even that was like
Real fake,
yeah,
superficial.
yeah.
You did it while you still mad.
Right.
Like,
Yep. You said it. Right. But like restorative practices has decreased a lot of suspensions. I forget the exact numbers, but not to promote our own show, but Ruth Turner talked about that a bit.
Okay,
we're talking about like
suspensions
decreasing due to restorative practices.
I just had that video, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's all good though. But the restorative practices reducing suspensions. Same with that code of conduct that helped, despite some teachers being upset about it. It helped decrease the suspensions. There are culturally responsive curricula being rolled out in specific districts, right? I mean, not specific schools. Pardon me. I think also. There are just teachers working hard every day, despite how crazy the system is, and doing what they believe is right by kids. And there's students like Brooke working hard every day, no matter what. No matter what's going on, like sticking through it and sticking to it. And the graduation rate is increasing. You know what I'm saying? And East High School, y'all talked about that too, is a successful program. You know what I'm saying? Now, the duplication of it, that's a whole other thing we got to talk about, right? But that's a successful program. So there are things that are worth, celebrating. It's not all doom and gloom. People working hard, and there's some things that are going on.
You got rooms where you can go to when you're upset, when you get
help
annoyed, stuff like that.
zone.
You could go to these rooms. These rooms weren't available back in the days, man. But, you can do all of that, man. You can walk out of a classroom and just go to this room, and you got people that care about you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like people that really, they use their own life. Yeah, my fault. Okay.
No, you're good.
Upward Bound. I had to shout that out real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, gear up.
Gear up. My fault. I shout out the wrong program.
Brooke, is there something that you're particularly proud of?
Graduating. I mean, that's a big thing for me because, like, my sister is the only one in my family that graduated, so I'm gonna be the second, and I'm going to college, so I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah,
It should be.
that's amazing. Like, shout out to Brooke. Shout out to everybody who has been instrumental in your journey, because I can't wait to hear your success story. We are out of time, y'all. This has been a wonderful conversation. We appreciate y'all for coming on today.
She's only obligated to tell us. You should have just had Brooke here.
My fault. I'm so sorry.
We're taking up time.
Thank you for stopping by the 585 Report. We are on every Sunday, 6 to 7, 100.9 WXIR.
Yeah.